In this module, we're going to show how to complete education. So the first thing you need to do is find which items need education. And if you've already gone through your testing, you'll have some of your columns filled out. You can see the will implement columns filled out. The education has been marked, and configuration required and the rating. Those are all marked on this. What we're interested in is this education column. And if you put no or not applicable, we're not really interested in those items. So to filter and find everything that has a yes or defer or that is blank, we simply check this show education. And it will reload and show us just the ones that are yes, deferred, or blank. And when we click on the first one, it's going to open that test item up. If it's been previously saved, all that information is still there. So we're going to scroll down to the Include Education in Manual section. So this particular test item looks like for miscellaneous allergies entered via the patient profile, the descriptions do not appear on the patient discharge instructions. So this one, if we looked up at the education section, we marked it as yes, we recommend a simple list. And it looks like most people are recommending that this is just a simple list item. And some of them are not going to educate on this. So we're going to assume that we're going to educate, and we can say nurses need to know about this. Pharmacy needs to know about this, and providers need to know about this. And then this education material will be displayed in their manuals as a simple test item. So once we've selected which manuals we want to include the education in, we simply click this education button at the bottom. And I did not if there was one of my facilities that I wanted to proxy test or proxy educate for, meaning that I'm creating education material for both organizations at the same time, I simply check their name. Now you'll notice that this section right here that says new and is blank, when I click the education, that organization will be listed in this box. By default, if no education material exists for this test item, then you're going to get a blank sheet of paper with instructions. If education has been built by another facility, including your own, then you'll see them listed up here in the top, and the one that is used the most. So if somebody did a really good job doing a write-up on a complicated item, and if that's something that you wanted to use, it would automatically pick that one because that's what most people use as the default instead of just giving you a base edit. So the first time that you open up the education material, the top's going to be blank, supposedly. And because we are doing an item that said that we just needed a simple list created, simple list was checked. This simple list is just a title in uppercase with a colon and then a brief 1 to 2 sentence description. And so below that is included the information from the test item. So that's in blue, and that will appear each time that you have a blank template that you're starting from, so that you don't have to go back to the test document, which you can in this screen if there's images that you want to copy and paste out of it. So once you go through this the first time, this second delete everything below this item is basically an instruction manual that tells you the basics of how education material should be put together. If this was a classroom or a detailed handout type, Then it would include a level 1 heading. It would include a key icon, which is a key instructional item, and these become competencies later on. And this one is basically telling you that the key information from this one is this material will only appear after you create your first educational material. And so if you want to keep a copy of this, you'll want to come up and use the toolbar and print this off. It'll come up with a little print dialog. You can print it and set that aside. Because the next time we open up a test an education button, we're not going to have these instructions. It's only the first time. So some of the basics are, we've already gone through these bullet items here that say it's going to create some education material for you, or choose from the list of facilities education material that went before you based upon the one that's used most frequently. By default, this comes up as an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Notice that the margin here, because I am in a smaller window, I got to scroll, but this is basically the size of a sheet of paper. So what that means is that if you're copying and pasting images into this window, that you don't want them to be larger than the width of this. But if you're just doing some text editing and need to use your full screen, and then continue on with your editing. To add images, it's basically cut and paste. If you have an image that you want from a document, there aren't any in this one, but we're going to pretend. Or if you have a window open that you're taking a screenshot of, you're just going to use your print screen or alternate print screen on your computer. Bring up an application like Paint. Once you've got Paint open, you can paste the window with Control V and then select the portion of it that you're talking about and then crop. And if you need to resize to make it a little bit smaller, and then you can Control A to select everything, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste it back in here. So if I was going to paste a picture here, I could do Control V, and that looks like text, but it's actually a picture. And if I'm not doing a screen recording, I can actually click on that picture and get some resizers here. It doesn't work on recording the screen, but you can resize an image, and again, you want to make sure that that image does not go off the right-hand side of this page. For the basic style guide is that you have a level 1 heading at the top, and then you can use one or more of these key learning objectives. And to create a second one, you're just going to copy a key learning objective. I'm going to turn off the block quote because the block quote is turned on. It's right there. Because if I paste it again, I'm going to have a double block quote. Now it looks like I didn't turn it off, but so now I have two key items, and you would change those to a key learning objective. The key learning objective turn into competencies. A thing to remember here is don't ever resize the graphic. You can see I have the resize. Don't resize this key icon. It will not pick it up as a competency. And the text that is included here, if I were to include a graphic in that text, the graphic will be included in that that competency as well. So everything inside this block quote, basically, except the key, is going to become a competency. We've already talked about proxy education by checking one of the other organizations you can save the material for them. And then we've already talked about the different manuals. In the options that you have, these first three, include them in a single manual. If you check this Defer, Place, and Post Upgrade manual, then this particular test item is going to go into a post upgrade manual. So if we had selected this for nursing, pharmacy, and providers and changed this to defer, it would put it into a deferred manual, a manual for each of these. So we may have two manuals for pharmacy, one for at go live and one for post go live. And the reason this is important is that some of the items that are new enhancements or new features we can't implement until after we upgrade. So we don't want to include that education material in the upgrade education manual. We want to include it in a post-upgrade education manual. So that's what that new defer, place, and post-upgrade manual really means. Is it a crate? So if we were going to do this one and complete it, we're going to go ahead and delete everything below this line. And it looks like the data for this is that for miscellaneous allergies entered by a patient profile, the description does not appear on the patient discharge instructions. So this one corrects that. So basically, the title is going to be miscellaneous allergies, and the only way to enter allergies is through the patient profile. And now the descriptions do not appear in the patient discharge instructions. This is telling us what's wrong, what was fixed. So what we want to tell the end user is the opposite. Miscellaneous allergies entered via the patient profile now appear on the patient discharge instructions. Just a simple one-sentence deal. And then we can just highlight the rest of this page and hit delete. Get rid of any of the white space that's below it, because if we have white space and this is combined together with all the education from the other test items, then we're going to have a lot of space in between each item. Also, if it's a numbered list, the list might start over with a different number. So if the next test item we have another simple list, it will be number 2, the third one will be number 3, so on and so forth. So when we're done with this, there's a new button down here at the bottom. If we have done any testing up here at the top, you want to use the save. The save will save all of this. This Save Education Manual Only assumes that you've already completed all of your testing and that you're just coming back to complete the education manual. And what it will do is it will save this education section, so you can change that while you're doing the education. So if you decide that, this really shouldn't have been a complex one or a classroom one, but it should be a simple list one, or maybe a simple list one really shouldn't be educated, you change that to no, you can manage this at that time. When you click on save, it's going to save this, and it's going to update how much time that you spent on this test item to include creating education materials. So going forward, this will start affecting how much time it takes you to actually complete testing, including education, in the statistics for workload management. But before we come back and save this section, we want to save what we created here. So if we save as incomplete, you can see that tells me a new education template was created, said who it was created by, which organization created it. Right now, nobody is using that, so it's 0 people are using. If you are the author, you'll have this delete button, and you can delete that education record. I'm going to save it again. It'll put it back there. If someone is using this, then that number using will, be greater than 0, and then you won't be able to delete it. So you can't delete anything anybody's using. If you want to edit something someone else is using, it will create a new version of it the first time you save it. So it's never going to overwrite something that somebody else already locked in and that other people are using. You can only create new versions from there. So if I'm not done with this, that beginning screen, this filter for show education, is looking to make sure that this date completed is checked on your education material. So we have to click on this save completed. We can just do that instead of save as incomplete to begin with if we're done. And then if that is education that you are going to use, then you can check, this is my education. Since we're proxy testing, it will also mark it for the other organization that is also their education. And then we can click on this select education clicked above or checked above. A little misspelling there, I got to check. Then it will show now that two facilities, two organizations are using this particular item. And now this item is item ID, and I'm currently editing item ID number 57. So now that two organizations are using that, if I now edit this with anything, like if I put a space there and I try to save again as completed, I'm going to have a new template created that nobody's using. And now if I want to use that one instead, I can use that one, uncheck this one. Now it's showing that I have two facilities using the new one that I created, and the old one none are using. So I can go ahead and delete that old version, and it will be gone. So once I have created the material that I want, got it to the version that I wanted, mark the date completed, show that I'm using it. Now I can click on this Save Education Manual Only if everything else has been completed, and I'm only working on this, and it will go to the next education manual. It'll automatically bring up the next test item. I can go down to the education material, click on education, and depending on the education type, it will bring up my new title that I need to put in and my description. So my formatting will be there, and it will give me the information from the test item that I can use as a starting point to do my write-up. So that's education. The other section is the test manual, and that is available underneath the reports area. And so here you're just going to select the facility that you are doing your education for, and then there is an education manuals button that will generate your education manuals. We're going to quickly generate the manuals for Portneuf Medical Center. So when you produce the manuals, you'll see a link to the manuals at the top of the screen. Clicking on these PDF documents will open them up. Below that, you can see that there are a number of items for those two projects, 1210 and 1211, that don't have education materials yet, or the education item is blank, it hasn't been addressed. And it sorts it by the most numerous down to least amount, so that you can focus on the lowest hanging fruit first. So when you open up one of these manuals, we're going to open up the nursing manual, and we'll make this full screen here. So page 1 of the manual is just a title page. Page 2 is a competency page. So the competency page will have the module, what the competency is that you put in that item with the key. Each of these, you don't need to put in the work item ID. This will append the work item ID to the end of each one of these so that if you need to go backwards and edit one of these, you know that you can do a search on this work item ID in your project matrix in the search area down at the bottom and quickly find what you might need to edit. So there's a place for the user to initial and put their signature and date, and then you can use these to maintain competencies for each of your upgrades. The next screen starts out with each module has a level 1 heading with a blue background, and if there's any classroom or detailed modules, you'll see those first. So here we can see that there's a performance enhancement for Care Glance, and this is the text from the competency, so you can see that the key item is focused on here, and then the text from that, and then appended to that is the work item ID in case you need to go back and edit this. And then for all of those that just required a simple list, you can see that they get their own level 1 heading, just a list of small changes, and you can see that each one gets its own number. And so even though you may have created 1 or 2 numbered items per item, it will concatenate those all together, and it will append the work item number so that if you need to go back and edit these, you'll know where they came from. So it will recreate a numbered list for you. You can see that this is medication reconciliation had a list of small changes, and this list had 1 item, and that item actually included a graphic. So if you're reviewing your education manual and you decide that, oh shoot, you know what, this is not a small change, or I need a competency for this medication reconciliation item, then you can refer to this work item, go search for it, and then change the education. One thing that's kind of a limitation is that you can't have 2 different versions of the education per type of manual. So you can't give nursing one that has not a competency and pharmacy one that has a competency. That's one limitation of building the manuals. But if we put in that level of complexity, it'll be a little bit harder to manage. So that's how the manuals are put together, and it compiles it all into a seamless document. So all you need to do is to generate these and print them off and give them to the departments within your hospital to perform the education. So that's pretty exciting to have the education module completed so that all of us can help each other build better upgrade implementations and education modules, and so that the hundreds of hospitals that use Paragon or other EMR applications don't have to reinvent the wheel a number of times.